Hello, welcome back to the little castle in rural Wales. Chaucer and I are delighted to see you, and you join us in the turret bedroom of my little castle here just outside Abergavenny. If we haven't met before, hi, I'm Mock, this is Chaucer, and every week we post videos of life in a little castle just outside Abergavenny in rural Wales. So if you want to learn about living in a historic house and the adventures of a little schnoodle and me, then why don't you give us a follow? I have a really lovely and gentle episode for you this week. I'm going to take you into the garden. It's a glorious day outside. We're going to go into the garden and I'm going to show you a bit of a neglected part of the garden. It's an old summer house that's become really overgrown, and I'm kind of contemplating what I can do with it. So I'd like your thoughts on that. I might do chickens, but I'm not sure. Anyway, I'd love you to help me design what I do over there. And then a lot of people have asked me about all of the mugs that I use, because I'm a big fan of tea and I usually have a tea on the go or a coffee when I'm chatting to you. And people have commented on these mugs. They're by Emma Bridgewater. I'm not affiliated, I'm not making sales, I just love them. And I'm going to tell you the story of how I came to discover Emma Bridgewater when I was very young and working in London, and the promise I made to myself when I saw that beautiful pottery, and how I have fulfilled that promise. But for now, welcome to the turret bedroom. This is going to be the Airbnb property next year. We've just opened our little stables at the edge of the garden. It's doing really well and we're getting 3 so far amazing 5-star reviews. There's a couple in there at the moment, so I hope they enjoy it as much as the others, and I'll keep you abreast of the journey here and on Instagram. So sit back, get yourself a nice cup of tea, and why don't we go into the garden? So we're going to have a little wander into the garden. Let me take you through from the old house. So this used to be an Elizabethan barn. It was used to store cherries and apples from the local stately home. And our paddock and our garden here used to be an orchard. Yeah, absolutely. I'm finding out all the history of the house. And everything was stored here in this barn. And then over the years, it was sort of poshed up. It became a sort of labourer's cottage, and then it became the village school. Then it became a home for the local gentry. It became a guest accommodation house for the big house when Mrs. Atwood Matthews used to have her fabulous parties. And when she had her fabulous parties, she then built this turret. Now that turret is listed as Elizabethan. It's not Elizabethan, sadly, but it is Victorian just. And Mrs. Atwood Matthews would have parties. Apparently she would have parties until 10 o'clock at night. Oh my goodness, imagine that, the scandal. And she wanted places for her guests to stay. So they stayed here. And I have to say, I love staying here. And next year I'm opening it as an Airbnb so people can stay here too. So I have about 2 acres here over in the far corner over there. There's a stables, there's a beautiful new garden that I created, there's a veg patch, and there's a greenhouse. And if you want me to show you around the greenhouse and that part of the garden, let me know, I'll happily do that. There's someone there in the Airbnb at the moment. You can see we've got scaffolding up here. There's always something to do when you live in a historic home. At the moment we are having the house painted, and we're having the chimney fixed. The leading had gone on the chimney, and the water that was running down had become infected with bacteria, and that bacteria was then eating through the lime render on the side of the house. So we're literally getting holes because the house was being eaten alive. I mean, honestly, couldn't make it up. And then we had Alex come in. Well, we had someone come in and do all the remortaring. Then we had the lovely Alex, who's been painting here over the last couple of weeks, repainting the house. We had it painted last year, but I wasn't happy with it. He's then painted it, but unfortunately we've got some stains water, moisture is being drawn out of the walls because it's so hot. So we're hoping that when it cools down a little bit, those stains will go, or we'll have to get more planning permission to take off all of the old mortar and the new mortar and re-mortar the side of the house, re-lime wash it. But anyway, we will come to that when we need to come to it. Let me take you around the garden. So this is my new turret garden. This wasn't here when I moved in. It was literally all weeds. You'll see in the background there some gorgeous trees. And then in the far background, those trees are protected. They've got a tree protection or tree preservation order on them. So it's effectively, they're like being a listed building. And last year I had to lift them slightly and take the canopy down, and I had to get permission to do it. And I think that's really important. I think a historic home needs to be preserved. I don't want someone to come in after my time here and just rip stuff down that's of historical significance. I'm going to give you a proper garden tour in the next couple of weeks, if you want. I don't want to show you stuff that doesn't interest you. So if you're interested in a garden tour, let me know. But for now, I want to show you something at the far end of the garden that I've kind of forgotten about, and I think I need to do something with. So here I am inside the old summer house. Now, a couple of years ago, shortly after we moved in, one of the trees fell down in a terrible storm. Since then, we've had lots of tree surveys done. We've had to take down some of the diseased or dying trees. Oh my God, thousands of pounds have been spent on looking after the trees. But my husband Joe used to work in Westonbirt Arboretum, so trees are really important to him, therefore they're really important to me. But we decided to really kind of reuse, as we try and do here, recycle, and we have been storing these logs over here and over by the greenhouse for the last couple of years. They're really seasoned now and they're great for winter, really toasty fires, and there's something lovely either in my own home or in the Airbnb to offer people the opportunity to make a fire with wood from the garden. That's lovely. But I'd kind of forgotten about this part of the garden. I don't come over to the orchard very often. It's kind of quite far from the main house, and I don't really know what to do with it. It's got really, really decayed, but I think it's a lovely position. It looks to me like it might be near the end of its life, but it does have power, which I think is really great. I've just spotted a plug up there, and there's behind the ivy here, I can see there's a light as well. So there's some options there in terms of what we might do in terms of electricity and stuff. I don't think we need it actually as a social place. It's quite far from the house. I need your help. What would you do with this area here? Do you think you would reimagine it as something else? Or would you bring it back to life and have it as a entertaining area? I am thinking about writing a book. I could use it as kind of a book nook. It's got quite a nice footprint, so I could put a summer house in here. It's octagonal, and I could have it as kind of a reading room or something like that. But I'm thinking chickens. Oh, I'm thinking chickens. Because when we were in Gloucestershire, I had chickens and I loved them. My nieces particularly loved them. And they each had a chicken. But it was very hard for me because I was traveling even more than I am now to make sure they were looked after. I had to pay to people to come and open and close the gate at night and all sorts of things like that and put them away. And despite the hard work that I put in, ultimately, there was a demise of the chickens due to the local foxes. We don't have as many foxes around here, so I think they probably would have slightly longer lives. And I'm going to be here a bit more, hopefully, next year. I'm not giving up work entirely. That's another conversation we have to have. But I'm definitely going to be here a little bit more. So I'm kind of liking the idea of chickens. So that means that I would have to knock all this down, potentially, because I'm not sure how I could make this into a suitable chicken coop. But again, there is a structure here already. So that's why I've come to ask you, what do you think I should do with this place? Let me know. I would love to have your advice. And whatever we decide together, then I will video the progress and we can see where we get to. Okay, so now we've seen a little bit of the garden and I've taken you into the summer house. I'll take you back into the kitchen because we're going to have a look at my Emma Bridgewater collection. And thank you so much. I just want to say, if you're new here for the first time, I hope you're enjoying watching this video. And if you want to learn more about what it's like to live in an historic house, to renovate, if you like gardens, old places in general, then why not give me a subscription and hit the bell so you never miss an episode. But anyway, enough advertising. Let me take you inside and we can go into the kitchen and I'll show you my gorgeous Emma Bridgewater mugs. And we'll have to say hello to Chaucer because I didn't want to take you out here. It's quite overgrown and he looked very bereft as I was leaving the house. Need to get myself a little sip of my tea. Look at these. Oh my goodness. These are from my garden. Aren't they incredible? They're Hydrangea Annabelle and they're from the White Garden. And I actually can't believe that I grew these. Honestly, I can't do anything without tea. And I have usually got a mug like this in my hand when I talk to you. And people have said, where are your mugs from? I'm not selling, I'm not an affiliate, but my mugs are from Emma Bridgewater. And I started over the years, excuse me, to get a few. So there's a story to that. As I show you my favourite pieces, I will tell you the story. So many years ago, I was living in London. Oh, this is for King Charles and Queen Camilla, a commemorative one. Quite like that. I was living in London and I went to visit my friend Emma, who was a nanny in a very fancy house in southwest London. And she offered me a cup of tea or a cup of coffee. Of course I said tea. And when it came out in one of these fancy mugs like this. This is one that's commemorating London. In London, actually, in our flat in Chelsea, I have one that is Peter Jones, which is the local John Lewis. And it's so posh that it kept the name. It's in Sloane Square. And I love that mug, and it's my London mug. But this is a little bit of London in Wales here. Anyway, Emma gave me this cup of tea in a mug that wasn't dissimilar to this, which is my year in the country mug. That one feels very me. And I said to her, oh my goodness, this is glorious. What is that mug? I'd never seen anything like it in my life. And she explained who they were made by. And I looked around at the house, which was terribly smart. And I thought, one day I want to be successful enough that I have Emma Bridgewater mugs. And I don't have hundreds. I often get gifted them, like this silver fox. Might have been a gift from my husband. I say no more. But I remember the first one I bought. Oh, this is very unusual. This is the first one I bought. It's called Fig. And I think I bought that in my early 20s. I bought my first flat. I've been saving since I was about 15. I'd just gone to work at Harrods and I bought a tiny little flat in Kensington. And I bought this. I didn't have much else. In fact, when I moved in, I had a bed and a sofa, and my mother brought me a crockery set, some knives and forks, some pans from Argos, and I bought this, Fig. And every time I use an Emma Bridgewater mug, my company is called the Innovation Beehive, I think back to that young man who set himself an ambition, spring, love that, snowdrops, and worked really hard to achieve it. I know you can collect them. I'm not that into collecting. I do like the odd theme though, our Christmas mug, but I have to say I use that any time of the year. And then of course, again, comes out always in Pride, but I use it all year round because Pride is every day. Love is love. I've got a couple of other Emma Bridgewater things that I love. So these little vases. They're great for sweet peas, and I think I used them in last week's episode and shared them with you. This is rather cool. This is rather cool. I have a selection of these trays, and they're really handy for when you're going into the garden, maybe having afternoon tea outside. I really love these trays. They're very sturdy. Oh, look at that. Got a really good solid bang to that. Couple of bowls. These are called French bowls. And then some serving bowls as well. As I said, I don't go over the top. I don't have hundreds and hundreds. So I might have a couple of jugs as well. You know, there are so many mugs in front of me, I can't actually work out where my tea is. Oh, there we go. So that was my Emma Bridgewater collection and my amazing hydrangeas. What do you think of those? So I wanted to share that with you because that story about going from, at the time I was living in a bedsit in Lambert Grove, visiting Emma, really setting an ambition to be successful enough to one day have things like this in my house, and now I do. I have to work hard. I didn't, you know, my parents didn't own half of Norfolk. Everything I have is self-made. But it reminds me that if you work hard, dreams come true. Yes, manifestation is important, really important, to set your end goal. I talk about the importance of an end game, but actually working hard and developing a plan to get there. And every time I get an Emma Bridgewater mug, I say to myself, whew, gosh, look at that. Mark, you did it. Well, thank you for joining us today. I hope you enjoyed going over to the summer house. I'd love to know what you think of my plans, any suggestions about what I could do with that part of the garden. It's probably going to be next year because these things take plans and times and I've got to save the money to do it, but I'd love to know what you think. And I hope you enjoyed seeing some of the little things that I bought from Emma Bridgewater. As I said, I'm not a collector, but I just do adore them and they really make me feel like this place is a home. When you pick up a beautiful mug or a piece of pottery, oh, just feels like home. Thank you for joining Chaucer and I in our home this week. Oh, hello. And thank you particularly to my members who join me every single week in exclusive videos, a long form video every single month, and they pay a small little fee. And I really, really appreciate you. Your names are coming up on the screen and you absolutely help to keep this channel going. So if you'd like to support this channel further, please make a comment and consider joining as a subscriber. But for now, thank you so much for joining us on this hot day. We appreciate your company and we will see you next Saturday with another update of Life with Mark. Take care. Chaucer and I will see you soon. Bye.